Alright, Diablo 4 Storks. Ball Lightning has received some new updates just last night with the most recent patch update with the March of the Goblins event. We also got a patch note that actually increased Ball Lightning in several different areas. So for starters, one of the newest changes here, we'll go over this first and I'll go over the build guide for the build with the new buffs. So the gameplay that you guys are seeing is brand new. I just recorded it last night with the new buffs. So Ball Lightning over here, the base damage got increased by 6%. Now keep in mind, it may sound small, but when you're getting all these multipliers, every single percent does add up. Plus, when you're getting additional ranks, as well as with the uniques, everything's going to again add up. So for starters, again, 6% increase on the base of the skill. Now, with the two brand new season items, the uniques, they also got some changes over here. One of them is more for a wording change with the Okune's Catalyst. So remember, there are two different ways to play Ball Lightning. You could play the Spin Ball Lightning version, or you could play the one that shoots out what's called a Super Ball Lightning. I'm going to encompass both of them in this video, and the build guide is pretty much the same. It's just that you swap this unique here. But what it does is it makes it so the wording on this got changed. It doesn't really matter overall what the wording changes are here. For the most part, just for the understanding of it's going to create a static field. Before, it would say that you'd create a static field, and now it says it creates a separate static field around you and that damages enemy. The numbers here are 140 to 180, but remember the base got increased. This is just reworded for clarity. There is, as far as I'm aware of, no change in terms of the spinning ball lightning other than the damage went up. You guys just saw gameplay of the spinning ball lightning, but I'm going to go ahead and also equip the other one so you guys can see the strike of Stormhorn, which actually does the super ball lightning. So this one actually got changed in a couple different areas. So for starters, they also increased the damage over here up to 225. So 25%, keep in mind, that's like almost an aspect right there, right? And then it also has another bonus, which now scales with ranks of ball lightning. So obviously that's going to be a little bit better. And then the unique power got reworded for clarity. So previously it said that it splashed on impact for that increased damage. Now it says that it does ball lightning splashes on impact, dealing up to 225 of its total damage instantly. So this one over here did receive more buffs compared to the other one. But if you're wondering which one do I prefer after the update, I still really prefer the spinning ball lightning one, as that's more reminiscent to Season 2 if you've played that. But I figure I'll give you guys a short little update on it. And if you guys want the build guide for it, let's go ahead and go over it. So for starters, as far as the skills go, it's pretty much going to be the same in all of them. So this is what we are running. We're running Ice Armor. We're going to really want this one because of one of the aspects that gives us bonus damage when this is up, and we can keep this up 100% of the time. And then Ball Lightning. Well, it's a Ball Lightning build. You use this for damage. So these two you kind of spam infinitely here. Now, next up we have Unstable Currents. This will give us extra attack speed, and it'll spawn in some extra Ball Lightnings once in a while. Keep in mind, you can go up to 20 Ball Lightnings. You'll see when I'm activating my skills, there will be a number indicated by Ball Lightning when I'm playing the spinning one. So you can only go up to 20 Ball Lightnings. With the one that you're shooting out with the Super Ball Lightning, that one with the strike of Stormhorn, this one over here, this one has no like limit. You can keep on spamming this one infinitely. Just something to note when you see the buffs over here. Let me actually like pull back the gameplay so you guys can see the numbers. See how it says like 20 right there? That's the maximum amount in the spinning version. But if you're using the one that shoots out, that one has no limit. Just keep that in mind, because Unstable Currents is relevant to mention. Now, you can upkeep this pretty high in terms of the uptime. If you also play with like a Harlequin, you could go for Harlequin, or you can go for Air of Perdition. Air of Perdition will be more damage, but you will also take more damage because it doesn't have the Harlequin's 20% damage reduction, as well as you may need to get armor in a piece of gear, or just getting a GA, or getting extra armor on the Paragon board. But yeah, Unstable Currents, you can keep this up pretty much most of the time if you play Harlequin, but it doesn't really matter. Air of Perdition will give you more damage. Harlequin will give you higher uptime, which kind of gives you more damage in that way too. We play Arclash just to equip it on the bar. We don't actually activate this ever. It's just the more lightning skills that we have, the more damage we actually deal. And then we have Flame Shield. Flame Shield is our activator for the Tal Rasha ring. You need to activate multiple elements to get all of the bonuses. And, well, you need one fire, one frost or cold, and then obviously lightning, ball, lightning. And then we also play Teleport over here. And then we also play, as far as the enchantments go, we can play Lightning Spear as well as Ice Blades, but to be honest, you could play whatever you want. You play Frostbolt so you can get that chill effect instantly, or if you want to just put like chance to freeze on some of your utility slots, that's also good because when targets are frozen, you do more damage. All this really facilitates for, you can get a little bit more cooldown reduction here and there, but for the most part, the enchantments are not super important for this build, but this could activate extra stuff. There's a lot of things where it's like if you do damage, it kind of ramps up, so having more of these cool. But again, the enchantments are pretty open. As far as the gear goes, we definitely want to run the Heir of Perdition or the Harlequin Crest for the helmet. And then for the chest piece, we're going to be running Shroud of False Death. Then we play the aspect of Shredding Blades over here. I know it says Ice Blades has vulnerability. You don't use it for that. It's pretty much just you deal X amount of vulnerable damage. And then we also have Tubalts over here. This can give us extra resource, but pretty much it's used for damage. You can play something else if you want more survivability. And then we play Gravitational Aspect. It's one of the newer ones that makes it so with a Ball Lightning, it's going to have it suck up all the enemies. It's kind of cool for that. And then also, one thing that's important, you want ranks to core skills, not ranks to Ball Lightning on your gloves, because it's impossible to get on your gloves for Ball Lightning. You have to get ranks to core skills. The boots is where you can get ranks to Ball Lightning, or if you need armor, if you are playing the Harlequin, then you do not need armor, but that's just something to mention. Both of them are totally fine. I wrote a bunch of other items that you can play if you want, like a Fist of Fate, or if you want to run like Esu's Heirloom to get 100% crit. That's also another option. But if you play Heir of Perdition, you're going to have 100% crit. Anyways, for one of the weapons, we're going to be running a weapon over here, and the only thing that's important is the weapons, the transfer Ball Lightning projectiles to cast twice, and everywhere that you can roll offensive, which is your amulet, and as well as your gloves, you want that shock critical strike chance, or you also want, instead of shock critical strike chance, you can also get shock critical strike damage. This build heavily scales into crit, so if you are not near 100% crit, you may need to get this. If you're running Heir of Perdition, it should be pretty easy, but it's just something I want to mention. And then we're also running Storm Swell over here. We can get unstable cooldown, currents cooldown reduction. We can go any ranks to anything that we could actually utilize in our build is excellent. And then Ring of Sorrows, guys, will definitely help out. I also want to mention you can play this build without the Mythics. I'm going to have like a couple different variants that I will be linking, and some of them will not require any Mythics, because I know people out there, you cannot play 30 hours a day, so you need to, run other things. That's fine. But the number one unique that I would recommend you guys to craft first for this build is Starless Skies, because the resource cost reduction is a really good stat to have. And then we run Talrash's Iridescent Loop, just like every Sorc build. Cooldown reduction is kind of the only really good one to hit, but if you get non-physical, it's actually okay too, because we place something in the key passive that really benefits from getting a lot more of the non-physical damage. And then you can run two different things. You can either run the Strike of Stormhorn, which is going to be the shooting super Ball Lightning, or you play Okune's Catalyst. You can get ranks to Ball Lightning in this one, and then the other one you also have chance for Ball Lightning projectiles to cast twice. So this is something to kind of mention. You can get either, depending on your rolls here, you can choose for one or the other. Now, either way, like if you try to run Strike of Stormhorn, you cannot get 100% for it to cast twice anyways. No matter what, even if you triple masterwork the perfect roll, even with a greater affix, the game does not allow you to get 100% super Ball Lightning, unfortunately. But what this does, instead of your Ball Lightnings to cast twice, it's going to then shoot that super Ball Lightning. With the other build, the reason why I have like ranks to Ball Lightning masterworked instead of the other one, when you do happen to have your ultimate up, which is Unstable Currents, you can max out at 20, so getting the cast twice will not really help you out. It'll ramp up your number of balls faster, but you still have a maximum amount. So it's kind of up to you, depending on what you want to go for. But the chance for Ball Lightning projectiles to cast twice on Akune's is kind of optional, whereas the other one over here, Strike, yeah, you definitely want it. So that is going to be it for the pieces of gear. Now, moving on to the runes here, I like Igni Vex. Vex kind of helps out with more ranks of Ball Lightning, plus all the other things getting ranked up is kind of nice. And then I'm running Tam and Zek. This is going to help out our Ultimate's cooldown reduction, because when we have our ultimate up, there's just a lot of nice benefits. You could play anything else, but I really like this setup with specifically Vex, but feel free if you want to swap out Tam, Zek for something else. You can run Ohm. That's another good one that will give you a damage multiplier, but I really like having that ultimate up pretty much 100% of the time. For Witchcraft powers, we run the Cycle, only because it's a growth and decay. I mean, it does heal us, but pretty much that's it. Then we run Hex Specialization to get extra 20% crit. If you're already at 100%, you don't need it. And then we run Shaken Soul to apply vulnerability. So this is a great way to apply it. And then we run the Hex of Shattering, so it will also make it so enemies deal reduced damage, which will also hex them and also slows them, so they're affected by that. This is another growth and decay over here, and this is another growth and decay. So we have 3 of the growth and decays for one of the bonuses on the occult gem, Friend of the Bog. So we play Friend of the Bog, we play the Elder Sigil, because not only is Ball Lightning a core skill, but it also is a mastery. Then we play the Hungering Void also, and then You could throw in emeralds, topazes, but it really doesn't matter too much. Now, as far as the skill tree, I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger for you guys so you guys can see it. And this build, by the way, just as a heads up, I know we're showing like open world content, which is pretty easy in Diablo 4, but this build is kind of meant for like T4 speed farming. It's quite good at that, like most builds at the moment right now. But as far as pushing goes, don't expect Ball Lightning Season 2 where you're just deleting the entire game. It has definitely been nerfed since then, but it's still a really comfortable build. If you're wondering, like, are these buffs going to make it like I'll pit 150? No, if you want pit 150, play the Necromancer. But anyways, as far as the Arclash goes, this is just to progress on the tree over here. We're just getting extra mana here because Ball Lightning eats into it quite a bit, and you need to put in points to progress. Then we play Elemental Dominance over here. If you want to put more points in Teleport, by all means go for it. Just getting extra damage reduction. Glass Cannon actually also got a buff. It says that it's 18x here. This all got increased by a small amount. Then with Ice Armor, the important thing is you get Shimmering. This is how I have 100% uptime for one of the bonus aspects. And then we just want to go ahead and get extra protection over here. Primordial Binding. This is going to give us extra mana regen, and that's also why we have Ice Blades. We do not need to push Ice Blades, though. Ice Blade just automatically activates after we spend amount of cooldown reduction on our skills. And then obviously it's a Ball Lightning build. So I would really recommend you guys run Wizard's Ball Lightning because this way you have no mana problems. This basically solves mana on its own. However, if you want to, you can run Mage's Ball Lightning and get even more damage. But there is a huge pain point with this, which is you run out of mana. So if you have the amount of mana, maybe you have some lucky hit chance to get mana, go for it. But honestly, it's just much better to go for this one. So go for either one that you want, and you have to put points into this also. If you're getting all of these crackling energies, you need a way to get it. And with Shroud of False Death, obviously another plus rank here, which is very nice. And then we get all of these cold ones. They've kind of made Sorc a little bit easier because, like, as long as you just have a frost skill in your bar, you just get this. So even though we're not a cold build, all of these just work. Increased damage to chilled enemies and frozen. You can also temper on chance to freeze the enemies. That's a great thing that you can temper on, or you can just apply the Frostbolt as one of the enchants, and then just more damage to vulnerable. And you have 100% vulnerability with the Witchcraft powers anyways. And then we run Unstable Currents over here. You can put more points into it if you want to. I have 4 and it's totally fine, but just make sure, as long as you can upkeep it, all you're really looking forward to with it is extra speed, and then it casts another one of your skills randomly. And then you can get this extra chance over here to get less damage, and there's a chance to sun. And then for the passive, we want Enlightenment. Enlightenment gives us this nice little bonus where we get a huge amount of bonus damage after we keep on cycling between using our Ice Armor as well as Ball Lightning. We just get a massive buff for a brief moment of time, and then it goes back and it kind of resets itself. So we basically just cast Ball Lightning with this build, but you do cast the shields and your teleport once in a while, so in between it will activate a little bit more. And then as far as the Paragon board, we start off with Adept, so our Mastery skills, which is Ball Lightning, gets to be bigger over here, and then we move on to the second one over here, which is going to be Fundamental and Unleash. Gives us a little bit of mana regen and then just plus extra damage. And then we get Frigid Fate with Tactician, and then we go into the Ceaseless Conduit with Destruction over here. And obviously we're gonna get lots of cracking energy. And then we get into Searing Heat with Exploit over here, so extra damage. Now another thing I want to mention is, I know we don't do pyro skills, we don't do fire damage, but this legendary node has a second effect. So the first part that says Pyromancy skills have 12% increased crit strike chance, we don't get that. We have all of our skills deal increased direct damage equal to 10% of your critical strike damage bonus up to x60. So that's what we'd use it for. Because I know when a lot of people were running this and or seeing that lots of Sorcs were running this, they were kind of confused. And hopefully this answers your question of like, why do we place something that would normally be for fire in this? Well, it's because the other secondary effect kind of works. Kind of like in Esu's before it got nerfed, where everyone, no matter what kind of Sorc build that you were playing, didn't matter if it was Cold Lightning, you got the fire one. Well, since it hadn't gotten nerfed, well, this still hasn't been changed here, so it still works. So it's going to be good for all builds. Anyways, that's going to be the wrap up for the build guide for the new buffed up Ball Lightning. And again, I'm just trying to let you guys know to keep your expectations realistic. It will not do a pit 150. Even though it has a lot of buffs over here, it's still what I would consider an off meta build, but for the new Goblin event, I liked it. And try out both of the builds. Honestly, it's literally one swap. If you're like, I'm running this one, the Strike of Stormhold, I don't like it, try the Okune's Catalyst build. I like Okune's way more, but if you like the ranged playstyle of the Sorc, you can go for it. But to apply that vulnerability, you technically need to get closer anyways. But you know, again, you could also run like Lucky Hit chance to inflict vulnerability on your amulet slot if you want to, not run the close range one. So that's something to note, as every single build in Diablo, you have to apply vulnerability somehow. But yeah, there's a bunch of notes if you want to swap other things. Go for it. And if there's any ways to improve the build, definitely let me know down below, and I will be updating this guide, as Ball Lightning is definitely one of my favorite builds. And if you are a fan of the Season 2 Ball Lightning sort, as long as you're just interested in doing open world content, you'll just walk and delete everything. With the new Goblin event, it's quite fast for farming. Anyways, take care, and if you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell if you guys want to see an update to this build, as well as more builds in the future, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. And also, in the pin, I will also put the planner, and it will also be in the link in the bio if you're watching this on TikTok. But GG's. Good luck.